Hello, Colin here from Miles Better. Thought I'd give you a quick video update on all things from the Chancellor. So yesterday, the Chancellor of the UK took to the House of Commons and revealed some new key initiatives that he's calling the Winter Economy Plan. And I thought it was timely that I just updated all of our Miles Better clients and potential future clients who might be interested in some of the announcements. Well, there were 5 key announcements in the House of Commons. One was an extension of the self-employment income support scheme. The second was an introduction of a new job support scheme. The third, the flexibility of the coronavirus-related business loan scheme adjustments. Deferred VAT and self-assessment payments were discussed. And finally, the extension of the reduced VAT rate for hospitality and the tourism sector. So let's drill down a little bit into each of those and how they might impact you and your business. The first is the Self-Employment Income Support Scheme, which has been extended to offer 2 additional grant payments to self-employed people over the next 6 months. These grants will be available for those who qualify for the scheme and are actively continuing to trade but are facing reduced demand due to COVID-19. Interesting that the word actively continuing to trade. So those of you who perhaps are not working at the moment need to be a little bit careful when we make those claims. For these businesses who are working, the government will provide an initial taxable grant to cover 20% of the business's average monthly profits in November, December and January, up to a certain capped level. That's quite a considerable drop in the support from the government, but that's not surprising as the Chancellor wants people back in work and not actually sitting at home doing nothing. A second grant will be reviewed and decided in due course, but the likely expectation is that that will support February, March and April. So again, watch out for future announcements from the Chancellor. The next big announcement was the introduction of a job support scheme. This is going to replace the furlough scheme that has been around since the beginning of COVID-19. It's a new 6-month scheme starting 1st of November for all employers, even if you haven't used the furlough scheme up till now. That's quite a big change as well because the original furlough scheme closed, so it's opening up as a new scheme if we need to furlough people. Employees have to work, however, a minimum of 33% of their normal hours, so it's really a flexible furloughing scheme, and then the remaining hours that are not worked will be paid for by 1/3 by the employer and 1/3 by the government. So employees working 33% of their hours will receive at least 77% of their pay. Again, the Chancellor is advising and is obviously not happy that people are just sitting at home getting paid to do nothing. They need to be back in the workplace and employers need to respond by both paying them 1/3, but also supporting that if you need your people and you want them to stay, then employers have to work. Government's still helping, which is a great thing. Never going to help everybody. The Chancellor accepts that. He cannot protect every single job, but I think it's a good step forward for the government to try and help with a soft landing as we move through the next lock. The next big announcement was the flexibility on the bounce back loans that many small companies and entrepreneurs have decided to take. Business owners who took out the loan through the bounce back loan scheme will be offered some additional flexibility through a new government repayment scheme. As pay as you grow is the idea, which will give borrowers the opportunity to extend the length of your loan if needed from the current 6 years to as much as 10 years in order to reduce the monthly repayments. The system will also introduce the option of interest-free payment periods of up to 6 months and payment holidays for borrowers, so giving more flexibility. But again, to be honest, if you took a bounce back loan, you hopefully had advice and that it wasn't simply to pay wages, it was to invest, it was to think about bouncing back your business and growing. Here at Miles Better, we've been advising our clients closely on anybody who took a bounce back loan and working to understand what would be the benefits. And remember, this is not free money, it has to be paid back. Next on the Chancellor's list was the deferral of VAT and self-assessment payments. Earlier in the year, for the period ending March 19 through June, if you had a VAT submission, you were able to take a deferral. You still submitted your VAT return, but hopefully, which you did, but you had an opportunity to defer that payment all the way through to March 2021. At that point, it was expected to have been paid off. But now what they're saying is that if need be, you can take an option of splitting that single payment into further smaller payments interest-free over the course of the additional 11 months. And the Chancellor reckons that this could benefit up to 500,000 businesses. Again, we hope that you've took some advice and that actually if your business has been improving over the last few months, that you've taken the opportunity to send some payments on account to reduce that payment and that liability. Those who choose also, on the self-assessment side, there was the ability to defer your July 20 on-account payment. You did have to have paid your January 20 payment or arranged a payment plan with HMRC. Otherwise, they'll be chasing you now with a debt collection because it's very early. Those who chose to defer their self-assessment payment on account from 31st of July to the 31st of January will now have the option to make a further deferral by including an up to 12-month instalment plan, as long as their self-assessment liabilities are less than £30,000, which in most cases that's likely to be the case. But you do need to liaise with HMRC, as you need to come up with a time to pay scheme and get it approved. But again, hopefully through your advisors, or certainly through, if you're working with us, we'll be negotiating with HMRC before January to make sure that we're on track and able to support. But do bear in mind that regardless of whether you're taking a deferral payment, whether you're on a payment plan, you do need to submit your tax returns on time still. So for the period ending April 20, the tax return submission must be in by no later than the 31st of January 2021. Otherwise, you will receive a penalty. But we hope that you are working in real time, because if you're waiting till January to find out what your tax bill is, then it's going to be very large and it's going to be a bit of a shock, because you're already gone through a period of low income and you're trying to pay off debts from a year. And the final announcement was about the hospitality VAT. A few months ago, the Chancellor, to try and help the hospitality industry, put out the fact that VAT would drop from 20% on items to 5%. Well, that was due to come to the end shortly. He has extended that through to March with the aim of trying to bolster the hospitality industry so that they're not having to charge you quite as much for your beer, for your wine, for your takeout food, etc. If we can be of any help here at Miles Better, then do please reach out to us by dropping a comment in the below the video, and I'll reach out and we can arrange a discovery call.